Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today is day 2 of our Valentine's Day look, and today's word is lovesick. So I decided to do a purple look, and it actually turned out really pretty. So first of all, we're going and priming our eyes with our Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer. I'm going to pat that out with a beauty blender. And then we're going to go in with our powder to set our concealer so that it does not grab hold of any of the color and make it just stick in one place. This will make it so your eyeshadows will blend seamless. Now we're going to go in with this Kat Von D Shade&Light eyeshadow palette. And on the box it does not say the color, but this is the purple palette. I'm going in with this first. It's like a peach kind of color, so I'm going to go in that on the top part above my crease, and this is going to take probably about 4 or 5 applications of a product. I'm going back in constantly. This palette is very powdery. It took me a long time to blend this eyeshadow out, and it wasn't as pigmented as it shows up in the pan. So I'm going in with this second shade to try to build up some more color. It's the second purple that's in the palette, not the dark one, the lighter purple. And this is taking another 4 coats as well. But it did turn out to be pretty. It just takes a lot to build up. And you can see I'm going in again with some more just to build up to this purple. We want it to be a medium purple so that it can really be seen. Not light, but if you have another purple palette, which I ended up finding later on in my collection, and it ended up working better than this Kat Von D, go ahead and use that. Don't fight with this palette to try to make it blend out. This palette is good if you want a softer look because it's not going to show up as much and it won't be as intense. Now we're going in with the last purple that's in the palette, and it is the darkest purple. And I picked up a lot, and you can see I'm dusting it off. It's a lot of kickback. It is real dusty, and it does not show up that intense on the eye, so you don't have to worry about it overdoing or overpowering with this bright purple, because it won't do that. It took me a lot of building up to get the final look that we actually have because it was just so light of a purple. Now I'm going in with this smaller brush so that I can really get into the crease with this purple, because I want the darker purple to be at the outer corner and the inner corner and then that top crease. I don't want it blown everywhere. So now you can see I'm going in with the darker purple, and I'm going into the inside of the corner and blending outwards, because I do want to build up that inner corner for this type of look. And it will look like a hot mess at first, but in the end it comes out to looking really pretty. So just make sure that you're blending this out very well, and pack on some more and keep packing on until you get the color that you want. I wanted the outer corner and inner corner to be this very dark, intense purple. And I picked up this smaller detailed brush by Morphe. And now I'm going in with that dark purple and really just paying attention to the outer corner and the inner corner so that it builds up to the way that I would like it to build up. With the fluffier brush, it just was not doing that. And I'm still packing on, and it's going to take a while. So, like I said, if you really get a different eyeshadow palette, I would do that. I ended up going and getting the lighter purple again and trying to build up above the crease some more, because it just looked like it had faded away, and that's not what I was going for. So I kept on trying to pack on more. It just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So you'll see me keep going back in more and more and more and it just wasn't doing what I wanted. So you will see that I will grab another palette and it ends up working out better. This is the other palette. It's the Tartiest Amazon Clay palette from Tarte. And this purple here ended up turning out really pretty. And it was much darker. And it blended better than the Kat Von D palette did. So I would say use this palette. It had a lot of different purples from very, very light. It even had the peach color shade. And they just blended better and they had more pigment to them. So I would just get this palette instead of the Kat Von D. That way you're not having to use two palettes like I did to actually get the look that you wanted in the first place. And the Tarte palette has more colors anyways. So now I'm going in with the concealer and I'm going to be cutting just the crease in the middle because this is a halo eye. So you see I had already started on this eye here, and now I'm going to show you guys on this eye that you just want to start in the middle and work your way a little bit at a time up to the crease, a little bit towards the corner and a little bit towards the outer. But you do want to keep that purple, that dark purple in the inner corner and the outer corner so that you can still see that purple that we have built up. This is called a halo eye, and we just want that middle to be with concealer. Now I'm going in with this glitter glue by NYX, and like I said, it's a glitter primer, but it works really well. It holds on any type of glitters, so I love using the concealer and this glitter glue both so that it will last all day. But you can use just concealer. It works just as good unless you're using loose pigments. Then you have to have this glitter primer to be able, or any glitter glue, to be able to hold on the glitters because the concealer won't do that. So I'm just taking a smaller brush here that's more tapered and defined so that I can make sure I'm just getting on top of the concealer with the glitter primer. And you just need a little bit on top of that. Now I'm going back in with the Tartiest palette. And I'm using this very glittery, sparkly purple that's in the palette. And I'm going to just tap that on and also be pressing onto the concealer. I decided to pick up this gold shade as well in the palette and just tap and press that on top of the purple shimmer that we had, just to lighten it up a little bit because I thought it was just too dark for the look and it just started to blend all together, and that is not what we wanted. We wanted the center of the eye to pop. And then I just took a little bit more purple and kept going back and forth till I got the color that I wanted. Now I'm going back in with this Kat Von D palette, and I'm just smoothing out the outer corner and the inner corner with that dark shade again to make sure that it blends very evenly and that it doesn't look too separated. It was starting to turn two different colors in my inner corner and it looked patchy. So I don't know why I kept going back to this palette, but I did. And I thought maybe it was the brush that just wasn't blending, but I tried many different brushes and it just still was not working the way I wanted it to. So like I said, just go to the Tarte palette or any other palette that you have that has some purples in it to do this look. I would not recommend the Kat Von D palette. I'm now taking a makeup wipe since we had so much fallout of that purple before I do my foundation. And I'm going to wipe underneath my eyes and also go ahead and sharpen up that corner so that when we lay down our foundation and our concealer, that we're not laying it on top of any of the powder from the eyeshadow, or we're not having to try to cut that corner with the eyeshadow still on our face. So that's all I'm doing here is cleaning it up. This E.l.f. Putty Primer is supposed to be compared to the Tatcha primer, the Silk Canvas. It looks just like it. I heard a lot of people recommend it, so I wanted to give it a try today. And I was using a little bit wherever I have pores to be able to cover up the pores and make a flawless face. Then I'm going in with this Pur Concealer in Light, and I'm going to use that just to correct some of the blemishes that I have. It covers them up better so that they're not poking through any of my foundation that I have. And I'm just going to blend this out with a beauty blender just a little bit. That way it will give us the results that we need, and then it's not showing up through the foundation. I'm going to use the Too Faced Born This Way foundation, and I'm going to just dot this all over my face as much as I would like to have. If you want a lighter coverage, use lighter foundation. Don't use as much as I do. I wanted a little bit more of a full coverage foundation with this look, so that's why I added some more. I'm going to go in with my Artiste brush, and I'm just going to pat this foundation out. I like the way that it looks during application when I am using this type of brush rather than a beauty blender, because it just does not pick up as much product as a beauty blender does. A beauty blender seems to eat up a lot of my foundation, and that's not what I want when I want a full coverage. But I will go in after this and use a beauty blender just to be able to really press it into the skin and to be able to make it look flawless and like it's not laying on top of this. My beauty blender is not very damp at all. I got it wet, squeezed out all the excess water, and then I let it set. So it's almost dry, but it still has a little bit of that moisture to it. That way it's not too dry where it's picking up the foundation either and removing it. So I'm just pressing this all around the foundation to make sure that it's really pressing in all that foundation and it's not laying funny anywhere on the skin. Now I'm going to go in with my concealer, and this is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. The same concealer that we use to prime our eyes is what we're going to be using under our eyes, on our chin, our nose, and our forehead. And this is the Coty Airspun powder. This is translucent, and this is, I'm just going to take a little bit of this and pat it to set my foundation so that when I go in to use my bronzers and my blush, that those items will blend better on top of the foundation. You don't want to put any type of other products on top of wet foundation. It just won't blend out as well before setting it. Now I'm going ahead and blending out this concealer. I do like to let my concealer sit for just a minute. I noticed that it does let the product just really sit there and like build up the coverage once it sets for a little bit, where it becomes where not as sticky and where you're going to pick up a lot of the product is actually going to stay where you want it. And then I'm going to take the beauty blender and just make sure that it is smooth and that it is blended out very evenly instead of just laying on top of the foundation as well. We want this to blend out evenly as well. Next, we're going in with the Butter Bronzer from Physicians Formula. And I really love this stuff. It smells like coconuts and it blends out really pretty. You do have to go in, I would say, with a little heavier hand with the light bronzer because it doesn't show up as dark. So I go in with a couple different applications with this. I'll start lightly and then I'll keep dipping back in and blend it out until I get the color that I'm looking for in my bronzer. Next, I'm going in with this Hoola from Benefit, and it's in light. I'm going to use this to contour and also bronze up just a little bit more of my face because I want it to really have that real bronzed look. And plus, I am really pale, so I want to give it that definition that I'm looking for. Since the eyes are so intense, we don't want our faces to be so pale that it kind of just washes us out, and then it will make the look more like raccoon eyes than actually just this pretty purple smoky eye that we have. So I want to bronze up all over and contour. That way it all comes together. Now I'm going in back with that powder, and I am going to sit there, and it's called like chiseling out your cheekbones. And I'm just going to carve it out with the powder so that once it sets any of that bronzer that you got below the line, then this is going to just take that away. So I'm just going to let this sit and bake for a little, just so that once we're done, it will be a nice sharp line. Now I'm going in with this Milani blush. It is very pretty, but I don't want a very bright blush. So I'm using this Luminoso blush that I have, and I'm just going to put a tad bit on and blend it out and back towards my hair. That way we have some color in our face. This is Makeup Revolution's Soph X highlighting palette. I'm going to use the purple, this darker bronze shade, and then this gold shade. It does come up on the face as this white once you see it in the camera, but it is very, very pretty, and it is very intense. If you do not like an intense highlighter, I would say use this very, very lightly because it is blinding. It comes off to being this really pretty color, but it does show up white on camera, and when we were out in the sunlight, it was picking up as white there too. So I would recommend using a different highlight for this look, or even just go with the straight up gold instead of that purple, because I think the purple is what gave it such a blinding white highlight. But the fact that it is drugstore and it's blinding, I like that. So now I'm just sweeping away the powder that I had just tapped on my nose and my chin and my forehead so that we can move on to the next thing. I'm still adding a little bit more because you can never have too much highlighter. And I'm going to put it on the tip of my nose, down my nose, and also on my Cupid's bow. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dust away that powder that we had baking. And that way we're ready to move on to finishing off our eyes in this look. So I'm going to go back in with the same highlighting powder and palette and pick up the purple and the gold, and I'm going to put that on the top underneath our brows, our brow bone, and I'm also going to put this on the inner corner of our eyes to make the inner corner pop a little bit. And this actually ended up looking really pretty. It wasn't overly bright, so I did like this on the brow bone and even the inner corners to give us some more of that definition and brighten up the inner corner. I'm going back in with the Kat Von D palette, and I'm taking this lightest peach shade, and I'm going to run this underneath the lash line from the outer to the corner to give it some more of the definition. I'm going to do this on both eyes, and then I'm going to go back in with the darkest color of the second darkest color of this palette, and I'm going to go ahead and run that under as well, and make sure it's as close to your eyelashes as you can. That way it's not going to show up as you having dark under eyes or too intense underneath. We just want a little bit to really make our eyes pop. I also went in with a little bit of the darkest shade on the outer corner to bring the whole look together from the outer corner down. And that is the finished look. I'm just using a little bit of the Morphe spray. I went ahead and put on some Kiss eyelashes in little black dress. And I also went ahead and did a cat wing eyeliner in my brows. But I love this look and it came out so pretty. And I would love to hear any comments that you guys have, and I would love to see you guys recreate this look. And you guys can tag me on Instagram